Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Dominicans await the results of the 2019 general election. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Friday, December 6th from the CMC News Center in Bridgetown. I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. After 10 hours of voting, polls are now closed and Dominicans are awaiting the outcome of Friday's general election. CMC's Peter Richards is in Roseau and has the details in this report.
Enough to prevent Dominicans going to the polls on Friday to elect a new government. Among those greeted the early morning showers when the estimated 255 polling stations opened at 7 o'clock local time was the opposition leader Lennox Linton, who wants to become the island's 7th prime minister since independence 41 years ago.
The turnout favors us. The fact that people are turning out is great. We're going to get some showers of blessings, it looks like, the early part of the morning. So, yeah, this is the day. Voting day, Dominica. Voting day when the people of Dominica will make a decision for real change in the Commonwealth of Dominica. It's looking good.
The elections were taking place just a few hours after the Court of Appeal late Thursday night dismissed the latest attempt to postpone the poll to February of next year. The three-member panel of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court said it would not disturb the decision of the High Court judge, who had earlier ruled that the challenge could only be done after the general election. Attorney General Levi Peter welcomed the Court of Appeal ruling.
I felt that our case was strong, was solid, and I think that that view has been endorsed by the decision that the court has just given. As is indicated, I mean, obviously the appellants have their entitlement. They've applied to the court, and this is the way that these matters should be dealt with.
Among those voting on Friday was President Charles Savre, who during the campaign had come under pressure to postpone the elections. The election is a straight contest between the ruling Dominica Labour Party, the DLP, and the main opposition United Workers' Party, the UWP, for control of the 21-seat parliament. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit cast his ballot in the capital in support of his wife Melissa Popon Skerrit, who is seeking to become a parliamentarian, as in the case of the wives of the prime ministers of Antigua and Barbuda and Jamaica.
Optimistic. You know, our people are coming out to vote, and that's important. And we look forward to victory tonight. It's not a question of whether we'll form the government. It's a question of how many seats we'll get beyond forming the government. But it's looking good. It appears that we will keep what we have in the last parliament, and it also appears that we will increase.
The spokesman for the Electoral Commission, Elias Dupi, says voting had a few minor hiccups, but was practically incident-free as a result of new innovations.
So one of the things that's new this year is that we've had to put in a number of polling stations because of issues that we had in 2014, where it took people a ridiculously long time to vote. So we've had to split some polling stations into two as well. We've had instances where Maria has destroyed the buildings that we would have used as polling stations, and so we would have had to move them. So there's been a little bit of confusion about that, and some people have gone to the wrong polling station. What we wanted to advise people is that if you do go to a polling station and you're unable to see your name on the list, perhaps walk a few hundred feet to the next polling station where you may find your name.
I'm here to cast my vote to make sure that development comes to Dominica. I feel like it's my first time voting because it's not really taking that thing a little serious. They started about 10 minutes after the time that was supposed to be started. Nobody's been having any excessive arguments. Everybody's been peaceful, helping each other, helping the elderly. We're just hoping for a peaceful day. Everybody in the line is speaking the same thing. Just come, vote, leave.
In the last general election, the DLP won 15 of the 21 seats, with the remainder going to the UWP. From Roseau in Dominica, I am Peter Richards for CMC News.
Well, joining us now on the line is our CMC correspondent in Dominica, Peter Richards. Peter, good evening.
Good evening to you, Ricardo, and good evening to viewers.
Peter, the polls were scheduled to close at 5 p.m. this evening. Is that the case? Did they close on time?
Yes, the polls have already closed. In fact, some of the results are already trickling into the society. You're seeing, well, from the Electoral Commission, from the Office of the Electoral Commission, some of the results are coming out. Some giving the Dominica Labour Party at least victory in at least 2 of the constituencies so far. And the spokesman for the electoral office had indicated that the results would have been coming at least 1.5 hours at least after the polls would have closed. So we're keeping to that deadline. So probably by around 9 o'clock, Dominicans will have a fair idea as to whether or not, or which of the 2 parties would have won the election.
Now, Peter, you would have been on the ground most of the day getting a feel of what was taking place in this electoral process. Now, what, in your estimation, is the general atmosphere at the moment?
Well, the general atmosphere, as anything else in all countries where you hold a general election, people are apprehension. People, as some of them are at their homes, there's still the talk, regardless of what's going on, of some people saying they're afraid to go out, given what was taking place leading up to the elections, particularly in the northern villages of Marigot and Salisbury, that are predominantly opposition-held strongholds. But apart, like I said before, the other areas of the country, very, very calm. People are going about their business. People are, well, they voted today. The town was virtually shut down from after 2 o'clock because many people would have been given the time as prescribed by law to go and vote. And what, for example, the banks did was to just shut down their business at 2 o'clock, and most of the other business places followed suit.
Now we know during elections there has always been some challenges during the electoral process. Would you think that there had been any as such in this election?
Well, the spokesman for the Electoral Commission did admit that in some areas there were some instances of people going into the ballot box, to cast ballots with their cell phones. And that was, as he said, in 2 or 3 cases, not many, that had been rectified. He said what had happened, they lessened all the instances of problems by bringing in new innovative measures. For example, where in the past you would have had in one school 2 or 3 polling stations, they had at least 4 or 5 polling stations. So in that way, people were able to come in quicker, do what they had to do, and go out quicker.
Now, we know the Prime Minister had been calling for calm, especially in 2 of the constituencies that is under the opposition side. Was there any sign of protest coming from these constituencies in question?
No, I don't think. I don't think the whole question, as I pointed out to you, that they have this question of violence.
Peter Richards, are you there? Okay, we have seemed to lost Peter Richards. We will try to get him back before this newscast is over. That's Peter Richards on the ground covering all the latest of today's election, and he just reminded that the polls had closed at 5 p.m. and by at least 9 o'clock we will get a sense of what is taking place as far as the result is concerned. Meantime, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States Bar Association has expressed concern about attacks on members of the judiciary ahead of the polls. Now, it said in a statement that it was particularly concerned about the attacks on Justice Bernie Stevenson, who had heard the election challenge case in the High Court. Now, the association said the judge has come under sustained and seemingly well-orchestrated attacks, threatening her own safety and personal security. It also condemned the attacks and called on authorities to take the necessary measures to ensure that proper systems are in place for the safety and security for Justice Stevenson and other judicial officers. Still to come in Caribbean Newsline, a new political party in Guyana to push for constitutional reform. Stay with us, we have more news after this.
Dixon, and you're watching Finding Fit, the show I pair up one client with two trainers. Trainer number one.
Oh my gosh.
It's about fitness, comedy.
You know, I can do this all day, you know.
Drama.
In future, we cannot be late.
Inspirational stories, and so much more. You are gonna love it. You can catch Finding Fit prime time this fall on CaribVision.
Ain't gonna stop, I'ma kill you, I ain't gonna pop. You talking about you happy, you talking about you king and the only thing you king is how you standing there, you ain't body.
I this me and your brain fly, you me know, you me say me catch you play that me know with your friend, them kill you and gunshot bend them like a cure, really.
As usual, Spartan King is confident already in the arena, so his style and the way he brings off his lyrics is flawless.
All right, welcome back. We are still following ongoing the elections process in Dominica. And of course, we had just got back Peter Richards, who is on the line with us again. Peter, I was just to ask you before you went off, were you able to speak with the OAS persons who would be monitoring the elections? What did they have to say concerning today's election?
Well, yes, I not today, but during the course of the week, I did speak with the Hubert Ingram, the former Bahamas Prime Minister, who is leading the OAS delegation, and we had discussions, and he did say that they were following. The reasons they were here for following the elections, and that just like the United Nations, the Commonwealth Secretariat, they would be issuing some form of statement and holding press conferences on Saturday.
Okay. Thank you very much, Peter Richards, and we hope that you be safe across there. We know the situation may be volatile, but yes.
Okay.
All right, so be safe. Thank you very much, Peter Richards. Okay, that was Peter Richards there just on the line with us as he is following the elections of a new government in the Commonwealth of Dominica. We stay on the political front as we continue, but we head over to Guyana. The recently formed Change Guyana political party says it will use any parliamentary influence it garners at the upcoming general and regional elections used to push for constitutional reform. Now, among the reform proposals are reducing the powers of the president and ensuring that citizens are actively involved in the decision-making process. Party member Sassy Sinarine says a referendum on the new constitution is necessary.
Guyana outlined a slew of political and judicial reforms propositions, among which are reducing the powers of the president and ensuring that citizens are actively involved in the decision-making process. At its second press conference this week held at the Pegasus Hotel, party member and owner of Arakara Resort on the west bank of Demerara, Says Sinarine, charted a proposal which will make its way into the manifesto when it is released in January 2020. Sinarine believes a referendum on new constitution is necessary. He said Change Guyana hopes to bring in constitutional experts to design a constitution which will see Guyana going back to having a ceremonial head of state untouched by politics.
Before we became independent, we had a governor general. After independence, we have an executive president. Since the 1980 Constitution, we've been pretty much doing, the president pretty much had carte blanche as to what it is he does.
He said Change Guyana wants to go to the time when citizens were directly involved in electing those who represent them in Parliament.
The people choose their representative. Their representative make laws, and their representatives oversight those who are administering those laws. So they are accountable to the people. It is very important to understand the link in such countries.
He said the party wants to see a new constitution putting in place provisions to allow Parliament to exercise oversight over the government. This will see the Prime Minister recruiting competent people to join the cabinet, but caution that members of Parliament cannot also serve at the cabinet level, as is the current practice. He believes a lot of the ills facing Guyanese today are as a direct result of the current constitution and how it disperses political power.
Such a constitution will return power to the people. Guyana will become a democracy. This will be the beginning to the end of racial politics, racial discrimination, marginalization, corruption, and incompetence. Should the Change Guyana form the next government or hold the balance of power, it will focus all efforts on holding a referendum on a new constitution, and if approved, will then work to have new elections in the shortest possible time under that new constitution. Guyana will become a true democracy.
Turning his attention.
Jamaica's Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke says government intends to have public sector workers paid under a system based on their performance on the job. Now, on Wednesday, he announced that permanent secretaries have agreed to the introduction of performance pay as part of their compensation package, and he says that it is expected the initiative will extend beyond permanent secretaries. Now, some MPs have complained that their salaries are inadequate based on the demands of the job and the expectations of constituents. And Dr. Clarke said the planned review of public sector compensation is expected to help the government develop a pay for performance component. He said the review will also improve the management and give the government greater control over the wage bill. And in this week's Newsline business, the Trinidad issues a new $100 note, and Guyana's Small Business Bureau says high taxes are taking a toll on small businesses. Marie-Claire Williams has the details.
The Trinidad and Tobago government on Thursday rolled out a new $100 bill. National Security Minister Stuart Young said the replacement TT $100 note will be harder to counterfeit and will also undermine the use of stored cash to fund criminal activity. The new bill is expected to be in circulation within 14 days and not the usual 30-day period for new bills. The Guyana Small Business Bureau says excessive taxes are taking a toll on its members. CEO Dr. Lowell Porter says the Bureau is committed to ensuring that members are registered and pay their dues. But he says even for those who do, they are not receiving certain benefits.
When that is done, what do they get in return? All right? They should be able to get tax breaks. I personally believe that the tax rate should be lower for small businesses, right? And if you are a certain size, it's categorized by size. So I cannot pay the same rate that Bihar is paying as a small business. You understand? So reduce tax rates. If I work in an area where there's high level of employment, and I could employ 5 or 6 or 10 persons, I should get a tax break also for that, because I am contributing to unemployment, right, to reduce the unemployment rate.
He says the Bureau will be lobbying for tax breaks for small businesses.
We have cases where we have good producers, good service people, and they have said, you know what, we cannot buy, Small Business Bureau, we cannot buy services or goods if they're not certified. I mean, they're not registered, they don't have their tax compliance, NIS. And they'll look at it and say, well, wait a minute, for me to pay my taxes, I got to pay GRA $400,000. And, you know, that's my revenue for half the year. So best I forget about that and let me continue to be informal.
Mary Claire Williams, Newsline Business.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, India beats West Indies in the first T20 International. We hear more about that story after the break. Stay with us.
We keeping it real. We don't need no filters. We do whatever we feel, yeah. Shout out to my hood, but we don't hustle for the money and the food, oh. Yeah, no one ever have. No say we sick. Bonjour.
We've got a huge fan base. They're all into the off-road racers, and a lot of the people that I race against also race in the Baja racing. So it's a very easy transition. And you know, we worked on this barrel roll. It's basically taking a Baja-style truck and spinning it in the air, 4,500-pound truck, spinning it in the air and landing it on the ground. Nobody's ever done that before. Yeah, we worked on that for 4 years, and we decided to roll it out down at Ensenada, and it was really well received.
Sensational batting by Indian batting star Virat Kohli overhauled West Indies' first innings total in the first T20 International in Hyderabad on Friday. Sent in at the Rajiv Gandhi Stadium, the West Indies made a modest 207 for 5, with Shimron Hetmyer posting 56 or 41 deliveries, opening batsman Evan Lewis chipping in with 40 and captain Kieron Pollard adding 37. Indian leg spinner Yuzvendra Chahal was the pick of the bowlers. He took 2 for 36. In reply, Kohli blasted 6 sixes and 6 fours, frustrating the Windies bowling attack to hit a top score of 94 from 50 deliveries as India raced to the target in 18 overs. Now, Kohli was assisted by K.H. Rahul with his knock of 62 or 40 deliveries, while Rishabh Pant chipped in with 18 of 9 balls. Staying with cricket now, left-arm spinner Jason Campbell has been suspended from bowling in domestic cricket. This was announced by Cricket West Indies in a statement on Friday that confirmed that an opinion report by independent assessor at Loughborough University found the bowling action of the Leeward Islands Hurricanes bowler to be illegal. It says that Campbell was reported for a suspect bowling action during the final of the Super 50 Cup between the Hurricanes and champions West Indies emerging players last Sunday. Now, an assessment of the bowling action revealed that Campbell's deliveries exceeded the 15 degrees level of tolerance permitted under regulations. Campbell will remain suspended until such time as his action is found to be illegal, either by an opinion report from the university or by an independent analysis from an accredited testing center in accordance with the CWI regulations for dealing with suspected illegal bowling actions. Now, he is expected to undergo remedial work supervised by the franchise Hurricanes and can apply for reassessment after modifying his bowling action in accordance with the regulations. And stay with us. More news after this.
All meaningful, substantive, philosophical education is valuable to us, whether it is Asian, whether it is European, whether it is African. It is extremely important. One must examine, and like CLR did, all avenues of thought. Now, one must have a certain integrity with regard to the things that you do believe in and work with.
Advancing our development agenda through innovation, industry, and investment. That was the theme for the Tobago Economic and Business Outlook Conference 2019. This year's conference examined solutions for some of Tobago's most pressing economic challenges and provided an update on the island's development agenda.
We chose this theme because we firmly believe that innovation, investment, and industry are integral to advancing our island's development.
As a small business owner, you have to make sure your technology is available and operational at all times. But what happens when your network crashes, your email goes down, or your user systems get a virus? You may try to fix the issue yourself, but you can end up making the problem a lot worse. At Digital Networking Solutions, we're more than just people who try to fix your computers. We monitor, maintain, and support your IT systems so that you can focus on growing your business to its fullest potential. When you sign up for one of our IT support plans, we get familiar with your IT environments beforehand, so we can manage it proactively as if it were our own. Your business deserves the best IT services available to ensure it functions to its maximum efficiency. So give us a try today. Email or call us, and we will give you a free network assessment to determine whether now is the time for your small business to adopt Digital Networking Solutions for a smoother, more reliable network experience.
Of this day, Dominicans await the results of the 2019 general election. And in sport, India trounced West Indies in the first T20 International, securing victory by 6 wickets. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news on sport around the clock, subscribe to CanadaNews.com and be part of our Caribbean Christmas and tell us, what does Christmas mean to you? Send us your reply by video or audio and include your name and the city where you live, and we will share your special message throughout December on CaribVision. We'll be back here again on Monday, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night.